Chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benny. Sells.
After a frustrating 1-1 draw against Aveley on Saturday, Torquay responded in style with a fantastic 3-0 win against Chippenham Town on Tuesday night, and how we can begin to feel excited for the season. Thank you for joining me, you two. We've got Aveley to discuss first. I know we've got the excitement of last night, but we'll talk about Aveley. And it was a frustrating game, not in the sense that I was like angry and frustrated at the players, but more just for them. And I was a little bit angry and frustrated, actually. We all were. Clive, what do you think about the Aveley game? What are your thoughts?
The Aveley game, goodness me. Yeah, disappointing, particularly actually after we took the lead. You know, you take the lead seconds before half time, having not played all that well. You should, in a game like that, you know, go ahead, take it by the scruff of the neck and get the 3 points. So it was a very good free kick for the equaliser. But after that, although we had a lot of the ball, we just never looked like creating lots of chances. And yeah, it was a bit flat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris,
I think the frustration for me, and I think Clive just alluded to it there. I remember saying to my dad in the first half, we've just got to score, because I couldn't see them getting. They hadn't been anywhere near our goal. They were so direct, it was terrifying, and they kind of didn't have any threat at all. So I thought, well, I said to if we score, that should be it, and then we should be able to build on it. So having got that bit of luck, and that kind of chipped cross that went in on half time, you thought, right, we'll push on. We had the chance, didn't we? Hassani's chance. Kind of 5 yards out that you blazed over just before they scored. And then, like I wrote in the article after the game, I think that it was just the way we attacked, ironically, which we can then move on to, which was oodles better in the game against Chippenham last night, was that it was all very it was just kind of get the ball out wide, get crosses in.
It was just with intensity. We were too nice. We offered too much respect, didn't we, against Aveley? I was really frustrated in a way in the second half, because in these games, especially in this league, we really have to, in the first 10 minutes, destroy the other team mentally, basically. And if we're just passing it between ourselves, they can get in shape. I mean, they take nothing away from Aveley. They were really well structured, but when they got the ball, we slipped up a couple of times, and they were so poor going forward for a lot of the game. But the problem is, when you rely on, my philosophy is never let's see out of 1-0, really, because anything can happen. Like, you're in a professional football game. Avery haven't created anything really all game. Can score a stunning free kick like that, which they did. And when we panicked, there was no lack of effort on Saturday at all. I just felt we weren't playing to our strengths. Now, this could either be the highest point of goals I view, or it could be the lowest point of goals I view when I get this tactics board out.
The biggest issue with what happened in the first half, especially, was the fact that because they were playing with basically no midfield, we could have had Peppa Pig in midfield in the first half. It would have made absolutely no difference, because they were just bypassing it. So we had Hassani, Hayfield, and Threlkeld in there. They kind of almost didn't know where to go, because they couldn't. So we ended up just kind of going wide as opposed to going further forward. And kind of these kind of these areas in between, they kind of just couldn't get, they didn't kind of know what to do with it, almost, to try and kind of play through them, which obviously was much better against Chippenham.
Wow, you've just ruined all my points, because I was going to say all that, Chris. But
oh, sorry,
you're totally right. But the point was, forget all the numbers, don't put the numbers right. But I felt personally after the game that we were a little bit too negative, as say, in the midfield. I felt that we were getting the centre backs were getting it here, and it was coming to Oscar Threlkeld, and then it was like, where do we go? And it was back here to like the centre backs, and we just weren't sort of aggressively pushing. And what was happening was, like, Carson was getting the ball here, and then he was like having to go back. And there just wasn't that intensity. We weren't making it like difficult enough.
No.
So Hassani couldn't.
Sam, when you see this on Sky Sports, nearly everybody who does this has either got a foreign or a northern accent, and I think you're letting us down a little bit here.
If we get the ball there,
give it Scouse.
If we get the ball there, that was my terrible Jimmy Carragher. There, Hassani gets the ball there. I think the audio listeners are going to be like, what's going on? But basically, Hassani, when he was getting the ball, he was marked, so we couldn't get it. We need Hassani. That first goal, Hassani was getting it here, and that's what you needed. I actually felt that in these games, we almost needed to play it so there's no sort of holding midfielder. We're playing two like this, and we can play Hassani or Musa. And because what was happening was Seymour, when he came on, or Ash, they were just getting the long ball. We'd end up we'd bypass the midfield. meaning the ball would just end up to the striker's long ball and they'd lose it.
I
Tuesday
think
night, it totally changed, didn't it? Go on, Chris.
Yeah, I think as well, Swanee. What I thought was interesting was that I like the tactics of football and kind of how you win a game. I think how the opposition set up, having had 2 home games in the space of 4 days, how the opposition set up couldn't have been different. I mean, I agree with all you've said there around the space. If you think how much time we spent playing it across that back 5 on Saturday, everybody came with a very structured shape and they stayed in their shape. Whereas what Chippenham did, and of course, so that meant there was no space. There was nowhere to these central areas. Yeah. There was nowhere to place through them. So they ended up going wide because they were in their shape. But what Chippenham did was completely different. I mean, it was amazing, particularly in the first half, well, mainly in the first half. The way they were using the ball out from the goalkeeper, and I kept saying to my dad, "Look, they've done it again." They were happy to go 5 on 5. Happy to go 5 on 5 in their own half. And effectively, so we had 5 pushed up in that kind of top third of the pitch. Yeah, so they were happy to go 5 on 5 and trust themselves to get out of it. But as soon as you lose the ball, and I'm amazed, that we nearly nicked it several times. But I mean, it was amazing. They were happy to kind of go almost 5 at the back, 1 in the middle, and 4 up front because they were happy that once they beat the press, they could then go and attack us. It was amazing. Kind of, fair play to them. I'd much rather see a team play like Chippenham did than how Avery played. And it was very brave, but unfortunately,
that's because it's easier to play, though.
Of course, they just didn't have. They didn't have the players, did they, Chippenham, to be able to do it? They weren't good enough to the speed of thought to, but they moved the ball, pretty quickly in those areas. So fair play to them. But unfortunately, the players just weren't good enough to do that in the first half, I didn't think.
But the difference is with us, rather than, make it easy and just pass around these sort of areas in the centre backs, when Folsom was getting it, and, over on Palmer, it was playing the ball forwards constantly. So that meant Carson and Tonks were receiving the ball here, which meant Hassani could receive it here. We will lose the ball more doing this. And that's what I don't mind that. I would much rather have my centre backs have worse passing stats, but they've got the ball into these positions. Because what can happen then is a team was like pushing up, so everyone's here, and the centre backs were coming here. And it was fine. It meant we were instantly getting the ball. Yeah. So Hassani can get the ball here. Hayfield can get the ball. And the big difference was Seymour. We used him because he could pick the ball up here. That goal was just brilliant. The way he sort of can move the ball with his feet. He's such a talented player, Seymour. But if you're booting aimless balls because you can't get past him in field, he is not going to win a single one, I'm afraid. And it's a waste of his talent.
I think as well, the way that, Avery defended much better than Chippenham. I watched the highlights back a little earlier from last night, and you look at how the lack of intensity in Chippenham's defending was staggering. I thought Seymour, I agree, Seymour did very well for that first goal. But if you watch it back, the kick from Haymon goes over the top. Amazing. The defender kind of jogs back to that left back zone. Seymour picks the ball up, turns, runs at him. He doesn't go to engage him. He doesn't go into close the space. He backs off. He lets him put the cross, and it's a bit of luck because the cross takes a zip off him, which takes it over to the defender, so Hassani can head it in. But there was a chance when we kind of won 3 balls in a row, and Seymour kind of hit one on the volley, but he could have had a touch, turned, and finished. They just lacked any kind of intensity in pressing and. It reminded me of a game at this time of year against Farnborough last year. Sorry, Clive, last year, where they came and they just looked knackered. They looked like a load of blokes that had been at work all day.
Yeah, that first goal was the most Route One thing I've ever seen. Hammond, as you say, just lumped it. It ends up going over the left back's head. He could have. How he didn't just get it and knock it out for a throw in is beyond me. But he was asleep. Seymour chases it down. Seymour's then got time to turn and run at him from 10 yards away and went by him like he wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was an awful goal to concede.
Yes.
It really was. But that was 6 minutes in, wasn't it? The best thing was
set the tone.
We kept going. 3 minutes later, we get a corner from the right-hand side, and it's Ed Palmer again. Big thumping header on the far post. Bad goal to concede, though. He's probably 6 feet in from the goal line.
Yeah,
really wide of the far post.
Yeah,
I thought it was overhit at first. I was like,
heads it into the ground. I'm going to show you by the means of a diagram. He heads it into the ground. It bounces up quite sharply. Full back on the post has just watched it go over his head. It sort of parted his hair.
I think he hit the defender as well. The defender took a zip off the defender as well. But again,
that was a bad goal. They were poor. I thought.
Yeah.
They've ended up.
They were naive, I think, more to the point.
They've ended up after shipping the third, which was a really good finish by Hayfield, because he could have put it over the bar like he did
in the second half.
Really good finish again. Roof of the net, arriving late onto the ball. One of them then goes down injured, and they have the angriest water break I've ever seen. Their centre half, big monster of a Welsh lad, is going absolutely spare, and I think probably makes his own decision. Right, sod you lot. I'm going to go and play up front, and that's what he did, wasn't it, for the rest of the game?
Yeah.
They honestly, people accuse me of having football league syndrome and not respecting the opposition. That was a shambles last night, Chippenham.
It was. They played as good as we were. They played into our hands.
I don't know if it included the directors, but they had 34 in the away end yesterday. Come on, you can do better than that.
There you go. I won't give you the banner this week, Clive.
I don't care, mate. No,
I agree. I think Chippenham
syndromic and proud.
Yeah, Chippenham were they played into our hands, and that takes nothing away from the fact Wootton set up for that, because the amount of times teams did that to us last year and we couldn't beat them. It take nothing away. If we play like that against Averley, it wouldn't probably be 3-0 in 20 minutes. But if we play like that and we pick it teams like that and we win the battle and we don't show them respect, then and feel like and we don't show them respect that we can play through around them and that, because it's hard enough to do in the Premier League stadium or at Wembley when you're at Premier League level. When you're National League South players, it's still great standard, of course, but you're playing at Playmore, which isn't the widest stadium. It's quite hard to put 100 consecutive passes up through. So sometimes you just got to do that quick passing, and if you're pressing with intensity, they couldn't deal with it now the ball. So we win the ball back instantly when there was a bad pass. I'd much rather players just try for the right pass. I love my philosophy for football. Is like the right ball, not necessarily like the long or short. As long as it's played with pace, I'm happy. Like just the centre back or keeper taking his time in that area. But as soon as it gets towards the midfield, I want pace. Even if you're like playing it back to your like defender in a fast pace, as long as you're moving that ball with pace and intensity.
Do it early. They can't get a set, can they?
They can't get a second to breathe. If you're just passing it right to left and the centre backs, they can just go, right, I've marked your centre mid. But if you're doing it, they go, well, where do I go? Where do I go? It's just creating that, especially at this level. And I know you can't keep that up for 90 minutes, really. But if you go 1 or 2 up early, like we did, then you can pass it around the back between yourselves a bit. I thought we could have got more in the second half. It would have been nice to see Crosby get his first goal.
Should
have done, really. I think in the division, no respect he was in before, we probably would have got that amount of time, but he didn't get the time he maybe wanted.
I think as well,
to score as well.
The second half, it was a different game because they went to a back four, didn't they, and tried to close down some of that space. But if you look at the chances we had second half, the Crosby one when he took too long, the one Hayfield blasted over did the right thing to get a height on it, but not that much. Ash had that 1-on-1, didn't he, as well, when he really should have scored. So if we could have scored 5 or 6 in it, and it really wouldn't have. Really wouldn't have flattered us, I don't think, would it? But again, hey, apart from that one when Heyman came flying out, missed the cross and the bloke weaved round him and put it wide. I wasn't at the Dorking game, but by the sounds of, certainly from Saturday last night and the Dorking game, has Heyman made a save in the last 3 home games?
He doesn't need to do loads at all, really. I mean, that shows how good the defence is. And apart from that one he dropped, he comes out and claims stuff. And obviously that kick was ridiculous. But that is a good point. I think the amount of half chances we conceded last season, which wouldn't usually be saved much. And the amount of stupid goals you can see out of nowhere, we're not doing that at the moment. The only game that it did was Cheshire, really, when we conceded silly goals. So,
the defence is not being allowed to get away with much at the moment, is it? Because Paul Watton on the touchline last night.
I love it.
After about 70 minutes, we haven't had a great second half, but they've not threatened, and they get the ball, did Chippenham, and they knock it around a bit, and we're a little bit slow to close them down, and one of them has a shot from 25 yards out that whistles sort of comfortably iron wide. It sort of looked quite good for a minute, but it missed by a mile.
Yeah, I know what you're on about, yeah.
Watton, oh my goodness me, the reaction there. I've described it as expletive-ridden. It was Anglo-Saxon. He was screaming at his defenders. He was screaming at them that you need to effing push up. You need to effing get there. And then at one point, he just lets rip with an absolute volley. It shows. I mean, it's a good thing. I think it shows his intensity and standards. He's not prepared, even at 3-0 up, even when we're second in the league, even against a fairly limited team. He's not putting up with that, and that's great.
I
and
have so much
he got
It was one of
round
those
of applause
classic.
as well. That was the thing.
It was classic Willie Close. It was one of those moments where as soon as it happened, the whole stand just went quiet. So everyone heard every single word of it. And when he finished, everyone was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And you're thinking, "What?"
It was like a Trump rally or something, wasn't it? It was extraordinary.
It was. I just think I think that's so much what I respect. Every interview he does, it's not like virtue signaling. That's my favorite word. But he's like, we will all be better. He's like, absolutely, no, we need to create more. Some managers would be like, no, it's my team. It's like, no, we're going to do this together, and that just shows the influence and what an amazing setup we have.
Yeah, but there's nothing about. I said to Dad, there's nothing not to like, is there? You listen to his interviews. He's watched the game you've watched. We've had managers before where you're thinking, at times last year you were thinking, really? At no point have I would listen to any of his interviews and I thought, no, I don't think you got that right there actually. All his interviews before the games, the press calls are always calm and considered. I think the honesty is just so refreshing for us who, where you got told nothing. The comments about Dyer last week, really interesting to, this is what's going on. It's frustrating. We don't really know he's going to be out for a bit yet. It's a disappointment, but there we are. It's why you have a squad. He played down the injury to Fulston last night as well, didn't he? In the interview he did on the website after the game. Yeah, he's got a bit of maybe could have come off earlier, but that's what you got Moxie for. So yeah, we'll find out about that. So it's very calm and very level, and he coaches the players through the game, not in a shouty kind of do this, be here, be there kind of way. But he'll take every opportunity to talk to the players, coach them through the moment. You see him with the subs as they're coming on. So yeah, it's really he's just a really, really impressive young coach from what I've seen so far.
He's going back
a long really way up quickly, pyramid, going back to the touchline stuff as well. You saw two sides of the same coin last night. What I would consider almost has been good parenting, because yes, he gave them that volley that everybody heard, but every one of the five that came off when they were substituted, it was a proper arm around the shoulder and a good word in the ear. It wasn't like, yeah, off you go. It was right. We're going to have 2 seconds to talk about this now. Yeah. Well done, brilliant. So he's kind of, he's showing
so
respect
healthy
for his squad,
it's
and he's
so healthy.
He wants them to be better, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's so healthy because he's got it right. Because my thing, which I repraised him, I think was like his first interview, was I said he understands how like the modern day man has changed a little bit from how men were maybe 20 years ago, where it's not, you can't take the criticism in a way. It's a little bit different. We're a little bit different. We're better in some ways, not as good in this way, objectively. It's not quite. You've got to be tread a bit more carefully with my generation. It's a lot of us anyway in general. Does that make sense?
Is this where we get the snowflake emojis?
Yeah, we're a little bit more sensitive in general. Yeah. But so he understands that, but also we're a little bit more open to other things maybe as well. I don't know. That's not a conversation for now. I'm gonna start something off. But his like psychology, and I think that's where Gary Johnson probably went wrong a bit, because like if you listen to podcasts, his way maybe worked 20 years ago, but probably wasn't working on a very fragile squad last year from what we've heard. And he's built characters like that, so he's understood them, but he's also like, I'm going to tell you rubbish at the same time, but I'm also going to praise you as much when you do something right. And you can tell, like I've heard a lot of it was Darren, who does an It's All Gone South podcast. He was at the Cheshire game and he was saying how like Sam Dreyer is so like at the left back, like Folston and everyone, it was like at him, come back, proper at him, a bit like Wootton was.
Yeah.
And these are young men who are, they're going to do well in football. And for us, because that was it, people tell us that how angry and we could work out the players were after Saturday, and that's it. None of them went missing, and they all came back fighting. And that's when I watched that, I know Chippenham played to it a bit, and I'm not saying talking going to win the league or win but I looked at them, and sometimes there's more than just tactics and how good you are at football. It's more that mentality. It's such a big part of the game.
It was in the second half. There was one that sprung to mind where Moxie kind of dived forward and kind of tried to surge forward and lost the ball. Yeah. And as soon as he lost it, you could see him behind his back. He was pointing, and it was Hassani dropped in once and covered him. And Collins did it a second time when he came on.
Clapped.
So straight, and they spotted it straight away. It's not a case of, oh, bloody hell, there's a great big hole there. Yeah. They see it for themselves. Oh, crikey, he's come up. And then, Moxie was kind of like, no, stay. And so they kind of ended up swapping positions for 90 seconds whilst the move played out.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, there's that thinking, isn't it?
They just so, and it must be so frustrating
switched on
for pros like Moxie last season, and no place of accountability on the pitch. They were just like, oh, that should have been someone's. It's like what the pundit said about Everton in the last 10 minutes when they threw away against Bournemouth. It's always someone else's man, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No one's actually good, but everyone does it properly. There's some absolute leaders.
Moxie, the bit I remember about him from last year was end of the game at Dartford. We've been atrocious.
Yeah.
We lost 3-0.
I was there. I remember him and Asa.
Half of the table side, and it was quite poisonous on the day. And Moxie walks over, and he's a professional, and he's high-fiving people and what have you, and maybe sort of mouthing sorry about that kind of thing. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
As a professional footballer, that must have been absolutely awful. He's played Premier League. He's played with some good coaches. Probably played with some bad ones as well. But I'm so pleased for him that he's
seeing the club at his best now. Yeah,
he was, for me, on the retain list last year. It was 50-50 for me. But he's a good one, I think. Obviously, doing a little bit more coaching than playing this year. But it's lovely. It's lovely to still have the old boy around the club.
Yeah, he's so good.
If we just take a minute to appreciate that block tackle last night, do you remember that?
Oh, gosh.
He just
went about 30 yards.
He took a slightly heavy touch, bringing the ball out, and this lad thought he could go in and nick it. And Mox knew that he just had to stand there and withstand it. And the guy hit him, and he probably went 10 yards back. He'll still be, his ears will still be ringing Friday morning. It was thunderous, and it was a marvelous thing to see.
I thought it was interesting as well what Watton said on the press call last week about him, in that he said, I didn't know him when I came to the club. I didn't know him. He's not somebody that I knew, but he's obviously I've got talking to him, and he obviously understands football. As you said, he's played at a good level. He's got into coaching. He's doing some coaching, and what I thought was interesting was he said in every game so far, I'll kind of at a certain moment I'll go and say to him, right, Dean, what you seen? And he'll see something that I either hadn't spotted, or he'll say, what about this? And that's key
good,
to have within a coaching setup. It's not necessarily directly on the touchline. He's not stood on the touchline in the way that Watton and Edwards are, is he? Yeah,
that's wisdom,
watching quietly. He's never struck you as the most kind of demonstrative kind of guy. I've met him a couple of times outside of match days, and he's a quite a quietly spoken guy, but clearly a thinking man.
Yeah, and you need that. You need that in the
game so well on the pitch and off it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. Yeah. And he may well be playing he may have a bit of a role to play the next week. That looked like Paulson had just tweaked a muscle there. So whether he'll make the weekend, I don't know.
I met Paul Mulhern last night.
Yeah.
I've been
Swanee's mate Paul.
I've been messaging him to and fro. What was that, mate? Sorry.
Swanee's mate Paul?
Yeah, I love Paul Mulhern. What a guy.
His colleague.
I don't know if anybody remembers, but Sam made his Radio Devon debut, didn't you, Sam?
Oh, he didn't mention it.
And did it. Paul asked me if I wanted to come and do like a little vox pop, as the season gone. But it was an absolute pleasure to meet the man, because he's not from Torquay, as you could probably tell, but he really gets
what makes you think that?
He really gets Torquay, and he feels it. And of course, he's like everybody else. He's seen the difference in the club and the team. And we're loving your work, Paul. And he did say he'd come on here. So I think I think we can break an exclusive tonight. Next few weeks.
Yeah,
we'll see the Scottish maestro.
The great man. What a pleasure that would be. He's spectacular. And we all know his speech, as Charlie Baker pointed it out at the end of that season. And wow, I just love how everything, as my dad pointed out yesterday, volunteers coming around picking up litter, just little things like that. We're talking about players doing their job on the pitch, and that's because as I said so many times about momentum and that old saying, from the root bottom, the owners continually getting great people in, and everyone's seeing their purpose within the club. How was me and Clive up doing hospitality? It's amazing.
They haven't got everything right.
They could have definitely got somebody better, but we're very, very grateful.
You're free.
Really, Russell Muscular is an absolute gentleman. And
what a bloke! Yeah,
he tees it up for us, and we ask a few probing.
And questions. I hit it wide.
Well, no, it's good fun. I'm sure we're going to improve.
We're getting there. Live audience is different.
We've had good chats. Robbie Herrera came in at short notice last night, and he could have sat there for 2 or 3 hours with
what a bloke
with the club. Thank you, Robbie, if you're watching this. And then obviously the week before, Tommy Kelly, not our Tom, the real one. He was fantastic value.
What a character! What a character!
Loving every minute of that. It's great.
And because we're very privileged, like, because we get to see like the inside of the club in a different way. And as we just said, everything within the football club, it's still growing. We're still improving. Everyone's not sat going, "Oh, what a great job we're doing." Every day, it's like, how can it improve?
Yeah.
And when you get that off the pitch, it's more likely to happen on the pitch. And as I said in my tweet last night, Torquay United Football Club, it's very exciting. It's going to take a lot of more time, a lot of work. We're at the very sort of start of it. We're a bit further on because, we've got the club going and we had a fantastic start in the circumstances. But I am so excited. I'm not going to sit and go, "Oh, we've got to win this." I'm just going to enjoy every moment. I love every moment. I'm sure we're all there. Just having our football club back, but having it back, really starting to fire again.
3,000 on a Tuesday night. 3,000 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? That was great. And that was without any help from Chippenham, wasn't it?
And it was streamed.
There were 3,000 Torquay fans there last night.
It's a good point, Twenty. It's a good point. It was streamed as well. So yeah, that's right.
Revenue, but also the argument sometimes is, there might be less people come in. But yeah, obviously the exiles, as we call them, meant they could watch it, which is great.
Yeah.
So hopefully really Saturday's going to be on because I can't make it. So hopefully they stream Saturday because it's internationals.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Really quick one from last night. I had a quick chat with Michael Westcott, and I said to him, he had a good couple of days kind of thing, and I thought he was going to talk about players and all sorts. He says the scaffolding's arrived.
I noticed that. What's that for?
It's attention to detail. That's what it is. So what they've done all the way, it's going to be, I think, all the way along the back of the family stand where it's started to look slightly dilapidated. That's going to be sorted. That wasn't really a paint up Plainmoor job because it needed professionals in to do that. But there you go. That's they're spending money on that because it's just getting the fabric of the club. It just makes it look better. It makes you feel better. It's like almost like if you have a tidy up at home, innit? You can take a bit more pride of where you live, and they're doing it all right at the moment. So it's lovely stuff.
I can't really say the same. Just about, maybe. I take pride. Maybe I have one of them as well.
This camera's really strategically placed.
Yeah, same. I've got the guitar so I get interested.
And we get to go to Bishop's Cleeve as well.
Yeah, nice.
Wizard Sleeve. What a name for a football club.
You going, Clive?
Yeah, of course I'm going. I'm going.
There's
a bus. There's a bus from Cheltenham Spa apparently. So get the train to Cheltenham and a bus from there.
Although your far more affluent son was talking about taxis, I noticed.
Was he? Yeah. He was. Teacher's salary, of course.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it?
Pensions are freezing, so he gets a pay rise.
Yeah, he can let him treat you.
Yeah,
you deserve it after all these years.
Good plan, of course, a great advert for the travel club as well, who are doing amazing work. We're using a lot of them next few weeks. We're not playing for 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, interesting. So I think that's everything.
Going to meet some ex-Torquay players on Saturday, aren't we, as well? Reece Lovett in goal. Troy Johnson's there as well.
Good start to the season, Reece Lovett. Dan Martin went off injured, didn't he?
Dan Martin went off injured last night.
Dan Martin injured?
He went off after 5 minutes last night,
No.
Yeah.
God, he's 46 games a year normally, isn't it? Oh, no, that wasn't.
No, he's not there.
It was his first season.
Shame. He
good player.
A bad left back. He had a lot to deal with, didn't he? I'm not gonna slag the guy off because
he looked really. We all thought we could sell him further, to be honest. When he first came, he looked really good on the left back, didn't he? So there we are. That's football Saturday. It's a brutal sport. But
you're going Saturday, Clive, aren't you? You're going Saturday?
I'll be there. Yes, absolutely.
Predictions.
We're going to win.
Well, I've never seen us win there.
How many times have you seen us play there, Clive?
Well, twice, in truth. I'm
going to go 2-1 Torquay.
I don't massively like our chances. I will say I'll go for a draw, 1 each.
Right.
I think, I might be wrong in sense, but I think their last 2 home games, they beat Farnborough 4-1, who were the form team at the time, and then got beaten 4-1 at home last weekend by, it may have been Hemel Hempstead.
National League South.
Hemel,
wow, they look great.
But let's talk, but you worry about yourself, don't you? Yeah, I mean, we can go there and win. I think we'll go there and win. I was going to say 2-1, but I'm not one for agreeing with what you said, Swanee. So we'll go, we'll score a third late. We'll score a third in injury time. Jaden will skip past the keeper. And
then I won't celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, Clive can have some Stellas on the way home. So we'll go 3-1.
Yeah.
3-1.
Okay. Yeah. No, do you ever drink on trains, Chris?
It's been known. Yeah. Now I'm a bit older and more responsible, allegedly. But drinking on trains, historically, Dom likes to drink on trains as well.
So I've heard.
Yeah,
I'm going to leave it on that. For watching, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We'll see
Cheers,
you.
boys.
We've got an It's All Gone South episode, and we'll take a bit of a break on that show. We'll bring that because someone goes back to full-time work in education. So,
oh, you do what? You do work.
I do.
I must try that. Yeah.
Don't break the habit of a lifetime, Clive. Don't worry about it.
I'm really enjoying that with Harry and Darren. It's brilliant. So we've had a lot of thank you for all the feedback for that as well. Something a bit different. So we've got a really nice episode tomorrow that will come out, and it's going to be about Southend. Me and Clive are going to have a great interview with Chris Phillips. So it won't be out by the time this is up, but we're recording it, and we're going to find out what on earth happened at Southend, because in comparison, we actually had it quite easy in the end with our administration process for theirs, didn't we? So we're
pretty lucky to have.
We're very lucky. Yeah, we're very lucky. But yeah, we're going to learn about that. So thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.